Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning once again, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. En ce début de réunion, je souhaite, au nom du Conseil municipal d'Ottawa, souligner qu'Ottawa est bâti sur le territoire non cédé de la nation Anishinaabe-Algonquin. Les peuples de la nation Anishinaabe-Algonquin vivent sur ce territoire depuis des millénaires. Leur culture et leur présence ont nourri et continuent de nourrir cette terre. La Ville d'Ottawa rend hommage au peuple et au territoire de la nation Anishinaabe-Algonquin et à tous les peuples des Premières Nations, aux Inuits et aux Métis, ainsi qu'à leurs précieuses contributions passées et présentes à ce territoire. I'll ask our committee coordinator now to do a quick roll call, please.
Councillor Luloff.
Good morning.
Councillor Dudas.
I'm here.
Councillor Curry.
Here.
Councillor Gower.
Here.
Councillor Tierney.
Present.
Councillor King.
Here.
Councillor Leeper.
Good morning.
Councillor Brockington.
Here.
Councillor Menard.
Here.
Councillor Brown.
Here.
Vice Chair Kitts. Mayor Sutcliffe.
Here.
You have quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? Confirmation of minutes from September 2nd. Are those carried? We do have a presentation coming up on cybersecurity. We do need a motion to waive that onto the agenda. So if we could deal with that now, if everyone's okay with that. Is that clear? Do you want to actually introduce the motion, Councillor Gower? For what it's worth?
Be it resolved that the committee approve that the rules of procedure be waived subject to subsection 83(4)A of the procedure bylaw to receive a staff presentation entitled Cybersecurity Program at the City of Ottawa.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Is that carried? So we'll come back to that presentation. Item 5 from Finance Corporate Services, uncollectible taxes under Section 354 of the Municipal Act. Is that carried? Item 6.1 under Legal Services is the Comprehensive Legal Services Report for January 1st to June 30th. Is that received? Item 7.1 is a Brownfield grant application for 100 Argyle. Is that carried?
Dissent.
Okay, one dissent. Under Strategic Initiatives, item 8.1, Delegation of Authority, Acquisition and Sale of Land and Property, 1st of January to the 30th of June. Is that received? Okay, is it something we can deal with quickly? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. Just on the matter of the sale of property, I noticed that there was this is just a small matter in the grand scheme of things, but there's a note in the report about us needing to buy property on a school to locate a automated speed enforcement camera. And I'm just wondering, are most placements of these cameras on the city right of way not requiring this type of arrangement? And what is unique about this particular situation?
Through the mayor, Councillor, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, fair enough. If I could park that, that's great. And I have another one I'll follow up with staff offline, but I wanted to ask the camera one on the record. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So again, item 8.1, is that received? Item 8.2, we have a presentation for that, so we'll hold that. Item 8.3 is the Integrated Orleans Community Improvement Plan for 4405 to 4409 Innes Road. Is that carried?
Can I say a few words, Mayor? Do you mind?
Sure.
Just to give some context for this one. All right, thanks. I just want to speak in strong support of this Community Improvement Plan grant. This application truly reflects the intent of the program to encourage investment that meets urgent community needs and strengthens local services. In the East End, the need for more doctors could not be more urgent. Like many parts of Ottawa, we're facing a serious shortage of family physicians and specialists. But in our community, the problem has been made worse in recent years when local medical clinics have been forced to close its doors after the pandemics. Thousands of residents suddenly found themselves without care. That loss, coupled with the tremendous growth that we've seen in our area, has left many families struggling to find even basic primary care. This is going to be a new medical facility, and it will help turn that around. It will bring new doctors and a variety of specialists under one roof, ensuring residents can access care close to home. It will take pressure off neighboring clinics and hospitals and mean shorter waits and better continuity of care for patients. That's precisely what this CIP is meant to achieve, to help create spaces that fill essential service gaps, support community health, and anchor local growth in the right infrastructure. So approving this grant is not only just a good investment for our local economy, it's an investment in the health and well-being of our residents. And it's a way for our city to say that we value equitable access to care and that we're ready to help make that a reality. I urge the committee to support this application, please. It represents exactly the kind of thoughtful, community-focused development that we should be encouraging across Ottawa. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Luloff. So again, just to confirm, that's carried.
Just have my hand up, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, Councillor Menard, go ahead.
Thanks very much, Mayor, and appreciate the councillor's comments and understand the need for obviously these services. I just have some questions to staff. Was an analysis done by staff on the CIP about whether or not it would develop without the community grant and evidence of that?
Through the mayor, I'll just invite my colleague, Chris Cope, to come to the table, please.
Mr. Chair, an analysis was not done by staff. However, the application itself requires the applicant to declare that they would not have built it otherwise. And there was a fair bit of detail in the application speaking to the advance monies that have already been spent to buy land and purchase things like that. And the fact that this project could not proceed in the vast manner that it will proceed with specialized equipment without additional funding.
Thank you for that, Mayor. I think it's important we do that analysis up front if we're going to be giving city taxpayer dollars over. The proposed project on Innes Road includes the demolition of the existing structure and the construction of the new 2-story facility. Is the grant going to the property owner or the doctors and pharmacists that'll be on site leasing the space?
Mr. Mayor, the grant will go to the property owner, but not until the project is fully complete and reassessed by impact, and the property owner has paid the new taxes in the increased amount in full before we would issue the grant.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I think in the future for CIPs, we need to make sure that we're assessing whether or not these would get built in any event. Obviously, we need more healthcare services in our city, and barrier-free access is included in this. Those systems that are being built here are obviously important, and obviously healthcare services in our city, not a municipal responsibility, but something that we care deeply about. I think in this case, the cause is noble. That's not the issue for me. It's the lack of any analysis for other CIPs that don't include whether or not they would get built anyway. And I continue to be concerned about that. I just want to register that, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Menard. Is everybody good now? Okay, is that carried? Thank you. Okay, item 8.4 is the Nepean Sailing Club lease renewal. So there is a technical amendment. I'm just making sure nobody wants to hold it. Okay. Councillor Kavanagh, do you want us to hold that item?
No, I don't. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to the real estate team because this took a long time and there was a lot of back and forth. So no, I'm not going to hold it. I realize the importance of this facility, but it did need updating, and I appreciate the work that was put into it. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kavanagh. Councillor Gower, if you'd read the technical amendment, please.
Yep, thank you. Whereas the total consideration noted in the report at time of release of the agenda was calculated based on 20 years, when the base terms are for a 15-year lease, therefore be it resolved that recommendation 1 be replaced with the following, and that all references in the report be amended to state a total consideration of $4,784,929.21 plus HST on pages 2, 5, 6, and 8. Approve the base terms of a 15-year revenue lease agreement with the Nepean Sailing Club for their continued use of certain lands located at 3259 Carling Avenue, as shown on the attached document 1, for a total consideration of $4,784,929.21 plus HST, commencing on November 1st, 2025 and ending October 31st, 2040.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Is that technical amendment carried? And then the item itself, is that carried? Thank you. Item 8.5, we have delegations, so we'll hold that and come back to it. So let's return to item 4 on the agenda. What we'll do is there are 3 presentations here, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. We'll do all the presentations and then we'll open it up for questions. I'll just, as context, remind everybody that October is Cybersecurity Month, so we thought it would be timely to have these presentations this morning, and I'll turn it over to Cyril now to get us started.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, members of the committee. As the Mayor just said, October is Cybersecurity Month. Throughout this year, we've been before this committee a number of times in camera on issues related to cybersecurity. But today, what we're going to present to you and with our colleagues is more of an information and education type presentation. As the Mayor said, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, or Cyber Month. It's an internationally recognized campaign held each October to help the public learn more about the importance of cybersecurity. The campaign helps Canadians stay secure online by teaching them simple steps to protect themselves and their devices. And the best way to raise awareness about cybersecurity is to ensure that more organizations are involved, and that's what we are doing here at the city as we continue to build out, grow out our cyber program. Next slide, please. Today we are joined with a couple of our community partners to share information on cybersecurity and cyber safety to council and to committee. Myself and Victor's will provide a short presentation on overall cybersecurity program at the city. Then we'll follow by our OPS partner, Inspector Cameron Graham, that'll provide he's a specialized, part of the OPS Specialized Investigations Unit, and he'll provide a presentation on cyber fraud. And then followed by that, we'll have a presentation on the future of cyber safety in our community by the University of Ottawa, and we're joined with Dr. Guy Vincent and Dr. Vio. I will now pass over to Victor's, and next slide, please.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you, the committee, for the opportunity to present on cybersecurity in public. Also, I would like to appreciate and say thank you to all the staff assisted in this presentation, as well as the partners from the Ottawa Police and University of Ottawa joining us today. This is the first ever presentation on cybersecurity made in public, and it's a great opportunity. So thank you very much. So Ottawa is a very dynamic and knowledge-based economy. The city is anchored by the government, technology, and highly educated workforce. And while the city continues to grow and expand its digital capabilities and services, it's very important to keep public engaged and educated on the topic of cybersecurity. And the cybersecurity challenge is a challenge of velocity of external environment is evolving and changing way faster than anyone can adapt. As such, it's important to focus on efficient delivery and ability to adapt and pivot. And I would encourage this group to promote continuous transparent dialogue with the public and partners on cybersecurity. And next slide, please. The CISO office is a newly established service under the Financial and Corporate Services Division, and it consists of 4 functional areas. We do represent the second line of defense and the overall responsibility to set the overall cybersecurity expectations and helping departments to focus on organizational resiliency. Next slide, please. In the last 12 months, the cybersecurity focus was on initiatives to improve our ability to handle cyber incidents, improvements pertaining to culture and overall digital risk management. The solid progress was made in standardizing the approach and anchoring that in first ever cybersecurity strategy for the city. Next slide, please. The cybersecurity strategy is set to mature the city cybersecurity posture gradually, and it's based on continuous and incremental improvements. It is pragmatic, efficient, and allow us to focus investment on areas that matters the most. Next slide, please. The city's strategic commitment on cybersecurity spending is aligned with the industry benchmarks, which is between 10 and 15% of overall technology spends. And all partners currently are working on ensuring investments in cybersecurity are well planned and focused on efficiency gains. Our improvement initiatives are grounded in and depend on collective intelligence and collaboration. And as such, fostering and building a well-informed community and maintaining high collaboration is not an option, it's a necessity. And it's needed for the city to be successful in this new digital era. Next slide, please. And on that note, pass it to Cyril.
Yeah, so thank you, Victor. So we'll proceed into the next presentation. We'll leave the end for questions. So we'll now pass it over to Inspector Graham to proceed with the OPS update.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I've been asked by the Chief Information Security Office to share a policing perspective on cyber fraud and its impact on the Ottawa residents. Cyber fraud is not just an IT issue, it's a criminal issue. It uses technology to deceive, steal, and exploit. Anyone can be targeted. Seniors, business, government agencies, everyday residents. Often victims don't realize it's happened until the damage is done. And when they do, it's the police that they call. Currently, at the Ottawa Police Service, our cybercrime unit and our financial crimes unit share responsibility for investigating and disrupting these crimes. But we can't do it alone. Tackling cyber fraud requires strong partnerships like the one we can build with the Chief Information Security Office to investigate nationally reported cyber fraud caused nearly $480 million in losses last year. But according to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, an estimated up to 90% of cases go unreported. That's mainly due to embarrassment by victims, confusion over who to report to, and a fear of reputational damages on many businesses. Here in Ottawa, we receive about 30 new frauds reports every day of all types. Residents report experiencing online scams, crypto scams, identity theft, and increasingly convincing phishing attempts, all aimed at separating them from their hard-earned savings. Small and medium businesses are also being hit hard, some losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single incident. Next slide. Cyber fraud, the risks to the community. Cyber fraud poses 4 major risks. Financial loss. Individuals and businesses can lose life savings and operating capital. The second is identity theft. Criminals steal personal data to open accounts and apply for loans and commit further crimes. Victims often only discover fraud when they've been contacted by banks and collection agencies. Operational disruptions is the third major incident. Ransomware attacks lock down IT systems in hospitals, schools, and municipalities. The Kingston Police Service recently had a major disruption earlier this year that the Ottawa Police was very involved in trying to resolve. It also erodes trust. Victims, when they lose confidence in our digital system, it undermines our ability to deliver those systems and build resilient communities. Next slide. Emerging trends. And cyber fraud is evolving very rapidly. The most recently, we have had 2 significant adoptions. The first, criminals are using artificial intelligence to create deepfake videos and voices. Imagine receiving a call that sounds exactly like your grandchild or your boss asking you to transfer money. I know of a social activist group that was targeted in such a way this year. They nearly lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're also seeing fraud as a service. Where organized criminals rent out hacking tools and phishing kits on the dark web for a subscription fee. This allows even individuals with limited technical skill to launch sophisticated attacks on our community. We recently supported a BC cybercrime unit in executing a search warrant in Ottawa, tied to one such case where the criminals were operating in Ottawa but targeting institutions in BC. Next slide. Who's most at risk? There's certain groups are especially vulnerable. Seniors, often due to cognitive issues and limited digital literacy. Small businesses, which often lack robust cybersecurity defenses. And public services and high-profile organizations, which are attractive targets for disruption and for the data they hold. What are we doing as police officers? OPS is actively building partnerships and participating in targeted operations. We participated in Project Sharp, a multi-jurisdictional investigation that involved services from Ontario and Quebec, resulting in numerous arrests in Montreal. We participated in the OPP's Project Atlas, a crypto fraud disruption campaign that worked with police from Canada, United States, and Europe. We've also partnered with the local 211 organization to help prevent fraud through public outreach by directing the public to 211 as a safe source of information. We also collaborate with our policing partners nationally, internationally, and with community partners like the Chief Information Security Office. But we have to be realistic. Police investigations into organized cyber fraud are complex, costly, and resource intensive. Even when they're in our own backyard, they often take months and require specialized equipment that costs tens of thousands of dollars. Every operation pulls officers away from regular duties, and that is demand is only growing. We cannot arrest our way out of this. We need to educate. Next slide. We need to be cyber aware. Ottawa needs to become cyber aware, and there are practical steps that we can take. Public awareness. We need to encourage residents to verify messages and report suspicious activity. They need to report these issues to the Ottawa Police Service or the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. Business support. We need to promote resources for staff training and system updates. We need to also encourage business to report breaches so that other organizations can learn from the threats. We need to be prepared. Ensure strong cybersecurity measures, backups, response plans, and insider threat protocols are in place in all organizations. We need to foster. Finally, we need to have partnerships. We need to foster collaboration between police, schools, seniors groups, governments, and community organizations. Next slide. In conclusion, cyber fraud is here and affecting our residents daily. The perpetrators may be thousands of kilometers away or operating locally, but the harm they cause is deeply personal to the victims. The Ottawa Police will continue building partnerships and develop proactive projects to prevent victimization, but success depends on awareness, vigilance, and education across all sectors. By working together with the City of Ottawa, businesses and residents, we can help make Ottawa more cyber secure.
Thank you, Inspector Graham. We'll now pass over to our colleagues at the University of Ottawa.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the Council. We live in unprecedented times. My name is Vio Onuț. I am from University of Ottawa IBM Cyber Range co-director, and with me I have Dr. Guy Vincent Jourdan from the University of Ottawa IBM, the other co-director. Next slide, please. We live in unprecedented times where the impact on our businesses is exacerbated by the use of AI and technologies that don't require hackers to have deep technical knowledge, but the use of tools that allows them to be very effective. We all are members of either companies, or we go to school, or we are affected by the cyber. And for companies in Canada, the average cost of a data breach is $6.89 million. That's a 10% increase from last year. We find that the companies that are using AI or are embracing AI, they save on the breach, but nevertheless, there is an unprecedented use of the AI in order to both prevent as well as use it as a means to hack our citizens. You have there some numbers that are based on different pillars, so finance and so on and so forth. You can read the numbers, but basically this impacts everyone at a bigger scale. Next slide, please. In Ottawa, IBM and the University of Ottawa partnered together to build what we call a cyber hub, where we can create training, cybersecurity training, cybersecurity services. We can conduct research and development projects, as well as we can be a hub to foster collaboration across industry and academia and public sector. This is an important aspect because we bring both industry leadership and academic excellence into the picture. And the materialization of that is a cyber range that we jointly built at the University of Ottawa campus. Next slide, please. The concept of a cyber range or a range is not a new concept. It has been used in military for a number of years. 10 years ago, IBM noticed that there is, among our customers, there are common mistakes that are happening when we represent them as part of the incident response. And we wanted to build training that will address companies, because the cybersecurity is not just an IT problem. It's a problem that is spanning across the different branches of an institution or of a company, finance, HR, everyone is part of that, communications, and so on and so forth. It's very important in the case of a security breach as an individual to know what to do, where to report the fraud that you just experienced, but also as an employee to speak up and basically allow your company to react to the attack. So we build these type of exercises, and we have 4 cyber ranges around the world. One of them is in Ottawa. And the only one that we have that is in collaboration with a third party, which is University of Ottawa. The unique experience that we have there in partnership, you'll be immersed in realistic videos, videos about the hackers or the press coming with different questions and understanding what's happening in the case of cybersecurity attack. Next slide, please. I'm going to hand it over to Professor Gibbons-Arnaud.
Merci, Vio. Yes, so we have built this cyber range at the university. The uniqueness of the cyber range that we have is it's not solely focused on the technical side of cybercrime and cybersecurity in general. It's really trying to address everything. So one of the elements that we have in this facility is the broadcast room. So we are going to integrate as part of a response to an incident the communication aspects, and we will conduct live interviews and this kind of aspect to any cyber simulation that we run. Next slide, please. We also have an observation room. So in the cyber range itself, we can sit about 30 people. We can sit another 30 people in the observation room. They can sit there and watch and hear what is happening in the cyber range. So this is also something that's unique to this cyber range. You will not find something like that in any of the other cyber ranges across the country or even across the world. So again, this idea of being immersive and this idea of being observable. The next slide, please. So the cyber range itself is going to be a room full of technologies. You'll have 30 computers, you'll have a wide screen, you have surround sound, you have lights, you have all of that. And we're going to use that and leverage this to create a very immersive experience for people to really experience a cyber crisis and see if they are able to respond in the way they should, as opposed to a plain tabletop exercise where you try to see if you know what you're supposed to do. Here you are trying to actually do it. Next slide, please. So we have opened 2 years ago. In the past 2 years, we have created a series of experiences that we run regularly to our students
to people who are outside the universities and even to kids. So we have a simulation for the youth. And we have had hundreds of kids going through the cyber range doing this kind of simulation, but we have red team, blue team, we have all kinds of simulation that we offer in the cyber range. Next slide, please. Another aspect of the Cyber Hub and the Cyber Range is we have developed a series of services that we can offer to the community. So what you see here is a particular service that was developed and supported by the Ontario Centre for Innovation. We have a catalog of 11 cybersecurity services that is offered to small and medium-sized enterprises, and the cost of doing this service is covered by the grants that OCI has given to us. So next slide, please. And so now we have the cyber range here. So you are all welcome to come and attend. You can go through a simulation. You can come for a visit. We have open spot sessions from time to time. And beyond that, of course, we are a university, so we offer a range of trainings. We have a micro program in cybersecurity if you just want to take a few credits focused on cybersecurity. If you are we also have a micro program in artificial intelligence, which is really important in the context of cybersecurity. So we have a micro program for that. We also have the normal, undergrad and grad studies in cyber. We have a professional development institute. So if you don't want to go back to school per se, you can also get training in cybersecurity through PDI. If you are more on the executive level, we have the Telfair School of Management that offers also programs that are specific to cybersecurity. And we have a strong presence in Canada with our Canada North campus. And so you are welcome also to visit us out there. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, so that concludes our presentation. And first off, I would like to say thank you to all of our partners, OPS and the University of Ottawa. As you can see, cyber is not a technology issue. It's much more than that. It knows no war geographical boundaries. It's widespread. As Inspector Graham made reference to supporting Kingston and BC in their events and attacks. So today's purpose is really about public awareness and education and information. The more we can do that, the better we will be. I also want to highlight that we, Victors and team, are working closely with a number of strong partners in the community, well beyond OPS and the University of Ottawa. We are well positioned in terms of the City of Ottawa, in terms of the expertise from a technical perspective, the expertise from the University of Ottawa, as our two doctors, professors just highlighted the uniqueness of a cyber range within our own boundaries. So again, building that collaboration is key. It's one of the priorities of the cyber strategy that was before you previously, and we'll continue to build out that collaboration with our partners and continue to build out education and public awareness. That concludes our presentation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you all for that excellent presentation. Very timely. Any questions? Councillor Gower.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. One of the speakers mentioned one of the issues is confusion over where to report incidents. Can you clarify when residents should report and who they can make a report to? It's a question we get a lot as councillors, actually.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. Anybody who suffers either a ransomware attack or a cyber fraud or any type of fraud can report to the Ottawa Police Service. As I said, we do get 30 files in every single day. We don't necessarily have the capability to investigate each and every one, but that information does go into our database. And we certainly encourage people to report the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre is the national level organization that gathers all the information, and they truly are the ones who are able to identify the trends and push that information out to the public and also to the various police forces and security agencies in order for them to better understand. So above all, if you don't want to report to the police, at least report to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre.
Is it a report, though, once a breach has happened or once there's actually been money transferred? Or like, what's the threshold where people should be reporting a phishing attempt, for example?
To the Canadian, Mr. Mayor, according to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, they're looking for any attempts as well. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre wants to understand how either organized crime or state-sponsored actors are trying to infiltrate our systems and to infiltrate our banking systems. So anything that is an attempt, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre definitely wants to know.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Councillor Leeper.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much for the presentation. Cyber fraud is a significant concern, particularly to seniors in our city. What are the resources to which they should be looking, and maybe their kids be looking to help educate people about cyber fraud? Are there some credible and good and easy to understand resources that would help people prepare themselves?
Mr. Mayor, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre is probably your best resource, especially for seniors. They do put out a package every year that describes the current trends in fraud techniques and what you can do to prevent them. I also recommend, and anytime I do any presentations or my staff do presentations to the community, we recommend people, if they're in a position where they're unsure about what they're doing, is we recommend that they call 211. 211 is, as you all know, there's a service that will connect people to the proper source. So if someone's calling you from your bank saying you need to withdraw $100,000 because of some security breach, instead of calling back the number that the scammer gives you, call back 211 and they'll connect you with the actual proper banking information. So those are the two resources that I recommend all the time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Leeper. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank everyone for the presentations today. Very important to have this out in the public. And I don't have a question per se, but Inspector Graham has been a frequent visitor to sessions I've held in River Ward, and he's brought public awareness, education, destigmatize people who have been victims, that it's okay to report it and get it out there. But I just wanted to thank the inspector for his great work in the fraud section. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor Brockington. Thank you again for the presentation and for all the work in this area. Is that item received? Okay, let's move ahead to item 8.2, which is the Centertown Business Improvement Area Boundary Adjustment. And we do have a presentation on this, so whenever you're ready with that. Good morning.
Good morning, city officials, councillors, and Mayor Sutcliffe. My name is Adam Schaefer, and I am the Community and Economic Development Coordinator at the Centertown BIA. I am here today to present our proposal to expand the Centertown BIA's current boundaries on behalf of our Executive Director, Sabrina LeMay, who unfortunately cannot be present, but worked with me to prepare this message. You may notice a pin at your desk showcasing the Centertown BIA's new logo introduced earlier this year. This pin isn't a marker of expansion, but rather a reminder that you yourselves are all a part of Centertown's diverse and vibrant community. Centertown is more than a neighborhood. It is a living, breathing part of Ottawa, built by the people who live, work, and create here. It's a place where culture, connection, and creativity thrive. We champion what's local, celebrate expression, and help this community grow in all of its layers. This pin represents exactly that, a symbol of belonging, pride, and the spirit that makes Centertown everything but ordinary. We at the Centertown BIA have always taken pride in recognizing and supporting our community at large. For many years, we have collaborated with and promoted businesses and community members who fall just outside our current boundaries. This became especially important during the COVID-19 pandemic, as this phenomenon highlighted how many businesses were left struggling amidst unfathomable circumstances. For this reason, we continue to serve the community of Centertown at large during an extremely unprecedented time in the name of economic stability and community support. This was a major factor in why expansion was considered. Today, with the shifts we are seeing in economic growth and development, stronger and broader supports have become more important than ever. We at the Centertown BIA are here to say with confidence that we are ready, willing, and equipped to answer the call. Expansion is not just about redrawing boundaries, it is about inclusion while ensuring that all who contribute to Centertown's economy are represented, supported, and advocated for at equal levels. It is about building on the resilience of our community and preparing it for the future. Next slide, please. In a moment, we'll present a short visual overlay of our current boundaries against what we are proposing to expand towards. Next slide, please. So our current boundary is highlighted in yellow, whereas the proposed expansion area is highlighted in blue. As you see, our proposal extends eastward up to Elgin Street, although it does not include the properties on Elgin. To the west, the boundaries extend to Bronson Avenue, again, without including the properties on Bronson itself. Next slide, please. Next, we'll be showing you some key metrics on the property line and memberships. Next slide, please. The Centertown BIA's current footprint accounts for 143 commercial properties. This proposed expansion would offer 366 additional commercial properties with the same access to support we currently provide to our members, including grant opportunities, advocacy, and visibility. Overseeing this larger area also presents opportunities to deliver meaningful impact through enhanced streetscape, beautification, and safety, which naturally encourage increased foot traffic and greater activity throughout Centertown. On behalf of Sabrina, our members, and our community, I thank you all for your time and consideration. Centertown has always been more than a business improvement association. It is a thriving, collective community that is, in every way, everything but ordinary. It is now my pleasure to share a pre-recorded message from Mr. Michael Wallach, Chair of the Centertown BIA's Board of Directors. Michael offers his unique perspective as both a dedicated local business owner and a longtime resident of Centertown.
Hi, I'm Michael Wallach, Chair of the Centertown BIA Board of Directors and owner of Wallach's Art Supplies and Framing. Centertown isn't defined by a single street. It's defined by its connections, the small cafes tucked around the corner, the creative studios above the shops, the neighbors who make this place their home. Every person and business and space adds to the rhythm of the neighborhood. When one block struggles, we all feel it, and when it thrives, we all rise together. People don't move through Centertown in straight lines. They wander and discover. Expanding our boundaries means strengthening those connections, bringing the side streets into the experience so the entire neighborhood feels alive, walkable, and welcoming. This expansion isn't just about businesses. It's about residents who want safe, cared-for streets property owners who want their investments protected, and visitors who want to feel a sense of place when they come downtown. A thriving Centertown helps anchor a thriving city. The businesses just beyond our current boundaries already shape what Centertown is. They bring energy, culture, and life to our community. They deserve to be part of the same network of support and advocacy that has helped the heart of Bank Street grow stronger. My vision is for a Centertown where no street feels forgotten and every street feels like a part of the heart of Ottawa. Expansion is how we get there, connected, inclusive, and everything but ordinary. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I'll go first to Councillor Curry.
Thanks. I just have a couple of questions. So we recently expanded the Canada Central BIA's boundaries, and it went into Canada South. So in this one, are you going to have a different ward included at all, or this is purely all in one ward?
This should remain all in one ward.
All right, I was going to say that might be easier. The second thing I was going to ask is what we were challenged with was we had such a diversity of companies. So we had companies that were like the ice cream shops and the, those types of, and then we had technology companies where their needs were dramatically different from really the majority of BIA's, what was formerly the BIA's companies. Very different to serve a company that's selling, picture frames and one that's selling national defense products. So I'm just wondering if you have recognized, you have PILT properties in there, if you recognize some very different commercial needs in terms of representing them.
Thank you very much for the question. We do recognize that there are a lot of different avenues that support can come in ways from, and through those interpersonal connections with our members, with property owners, we do mean to establish the ways in which we can support them on the grander scale, but also individually as well, per their designated needs.
So there is diversity, you would say, that you're going to have to address?
Yes, absolutely. But from member to member, we'll be providing the advocacy and support that they require.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we can learn something from you because it's been very challenging, but good luck.
Thank you, Councillor Curry. Councillor Troster.
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for being here. And I know that both Sabrina and Michael wanted to be here, so I'm really glad to see Michael's video. For those who don't know Michael Wallach, he is the third generation owner of his art store, a business that his grandfather started. And he also lives in the neighborhood, so he's a fantastic ambassador for the neighborhood. I'm wondering if ever since I've been elected, I'm not going to lie, Bank Street is definitely the part of the neighborhood that I've been the most worried about. But I have seen some positive signs, including some new businesses opening up in the past little while. I'm wondering if you could speak to some of the investments that the BIA has made, some of the work you're doing in terms of cleanliness and security, and whether you think that's having an impact on the commercial viability of the street.
Absolutely, Councillor. Thank you very much for the question. So what we are constantly doing is we're constantly reaching out to the property owners and incoming newer members to see how we can support them, especially in the earlier days of them opening up shop, as there are, as you say, a surplus of newer businesses. So what we've done on that front is actually reached out to them, boosted visibility through our social media pages such as Instagram, which is a large element of support in which can navigate new business to their doors. In terms of the cleanliness and the state of the street, we are keeping a very open line of communication with those business owners, management to each property and whatnot. So when a question would come up, when a circumstance would arise, we do bridge the gap between, be it ourselves to outsource the works needed to ensure the vitality of the streets, but also to strengthen the connection through OPS status as well.
So you're using some of the BIA funding is going into additional services for those businesses above and beyond what the city does, including street cleaning.
Through our street cleaners, we do actually allocate some funding aside for specific services, especially for those who are victim to higher levels of tagging, of graffiti. So we'll have those rectified within a turnaround time of, I would say, 24 to 48 hours.
That's great. And I know you were at the event with me and with Mayor Sutcliffe last week as we were celebrating the success of our Street Seats program, which is part of our Centertown Action Plan. And for those who have not visited those side streets off of Bank, we have these wonderful, brightly colored pop-up spaces that have hosted, there were 166 events over the course of 3 months or something like that, really incredible. I'm just wondering if you could speak to the impact of those city investments on Centertown and on Centertown businesses.
We've certainly seen an uptick on activity in regards to positive interactions with our members, and we've certainly seen a boost in foot traffic as well through our own means of analytics.
That's great. Well, congratulations on this work. I would urge my colleagues to support this expansion. I think the benefits are tremendous for businesses who will now be part of the BIA. And I look forward to seeing the Centertown BIA be able to expand its programming in the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Troster. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here today. It's appreciated. Can you just talk about whether there's a mandatory requirement for outreach and consultation with the businesses that could be added to the BIA's geographic area? It's not clear to me in the report what mandatory work was undertaken in advance of this recommendation before us today.
Thank you very much for the question. So we did seek out consultation to determine the scope of added businesses and added properties. Beyond that, it would, to my knowledge, result in a mail out to property owners to then determine the next steps in the expansion process.
So the proposed geographic area was determined by your board of directors, is that correct?
No, so the proposed map was instilled and provided to us by city personnel, and we essentially worked closely with them to arrange the guidelines in which we can move forward with an expansion process.
Okay, so how were you made aware of all the businesses in the new area that would now be included in the BIA's area? Was that provided by the city?
In partnership with resources provided by the city, we did seek out consultation to facilitate and streamline those informations.
So every business was contacted either in 2024 or 2025, made aware of your BIA's expansion plans. They were made aware that they would now be included in this BIA. They were made aware that they would have to pay a fee, a mandatory fee to be part of the BIA. Has that been all clearly spelled out to all the businesses?
Our team at the Centertown BIA did perform a large amount of outreach to prospective members that would therefore become members should the expansion proceed.
Okay, I'll follow up with staff as well, because I just want to understand from a city's perspective what we require advance notice to be. I think you've articulated what the BIA's done, and I appreciate that. But thank you for that. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Plante.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. First of all, can you talk to my Rideau BIA? Because I want them to expand onto Laurier and Man. It's been an ongoing discussion for a while. But one of the things I found as city councillor for an area that has a very active main streets is I have to represent businesses where, unlike the Wallach situation that we heard, they don't live in the area, right? So they're very concerned with their bottom line, but they're not necessarily concerned with the overall health and well-being. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. That's their business and that's what they're in business for, right? So they're not necessarily concerned about the state of parks or schools or anything about that. So I was just wondering if you could comment on that quickly. Do you have a lot more locally owned where people live in the area of Centertown? Like, is Mr. Wallach sort of an exception or is he the rule? Like, I'm kind of trying to figure out what the secret sauce is here and how I can better help my BIAs.
Thank you very much for the question. So it really all comes down to that community element and reaching out to our members, being more, I guess you can say, forward and transparent with them, because we all operate behind mannerisms, closed doors, and breaking down those barriers does ultimately lead us to a more open, vibrant, transparent, and a more ground level means to assess what needs to be assessed and take action where appropriate. It's a means of open communication, transparency, inclusiveness, and ultimately these are all aspects that we at the Centertown BIA thrive and fully embody on our day-to-day.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so is that carried? What's that? Oh, sorry, I missed that. Do you want to go to that now then? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to transition now to staff to follow up on some questions I have. I asked the delegate, and that is, when the city works in partnership with a BIA that wants to expand in that regard, what are the ground rules with respect to informing prospective new business, I won't call them partners, but businesses in the BIA? What is there a checklist? I want to make sure that the businesses that are about to join this BIA have had ample opportunity to learn about the expansion. They've had opportunities to provide input. They're aware that there will be fees associated. What can you say to this?
Through the chair, thank you for the question, Councillor. I'll respond in terms of the general process and how that unfolds. And if you have specific questions about this, I'll invite my colleague who worked closely with the BIA on this. So typically when a BIA is looking at expansion, there's often been outreach to the BIA. So what I understand in this case is that through the COVID pandemic, there's quite a bit of outreach to the BIA leadership executive looking for some support. So that kind of gave the idea that there was additional need. Typically, in terms of the process, there would be knocking on doors and speaking to the business and property owners to get a sense of interest in pursuing the expansion. There often are meetings that will take place in which the business owners are invited to attend, and the ward councillor typically would be in attendance at those meetings as well. In terms of next steps going forward, so if council were to approve this expansion, the city clerk would send a letter of notice of intention to expand the boundaries to all the property owners. The property owners would then have 30 days to provide that notice to their tenants. And then everyone has 60 days to submit an objection if they do not agree with the expansion. The letter of notice outlines the impacts and the costs. It provides the details related to the expansion. So they have 60 days. At that point, if 1/3 of tenants and property owners have indicated that they object, and that 1/3 also represents 1/3 of the tax revenue, then the expansion is deemed to have been not approved to proceed by the impacted businesses.
Okay, I appreciate that explanation. It's sort of stacked against those who may not want to engage or participate because we make a decision now and then the onus is on them to indicate that they don't want to be involved. I'm looking for a very fulsome consultation process, and I'm not suggesting that didn't happen because I'm just not aware of the details in advance. The fees are based on square footage or property tax paid?
So I believe the fees are based on property tax. I'll let Mike correct me here.
Sure.
Through you, Chair. So the levy is calculated based on the property class of that property. So by way of example, residential properties would not be subject to a BIA levy. There's approximately 27 property classes that would be subject to a BIA levy.
Okay, I appreciate the information. Would staff just note, once the 60-day period has ended and you've heard back, can I just get an update on what you heard back?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? All right, is that carried? All right, let's move to item 8.5, the primary care provider recruitment and retention strategy. We have a presentation followed by a few delegations. So I'll turn it over to the team for the presentation now.
Good morning, Mayor and members of the committee. My name is Will McDonald. I'm the Director of the Strategic Projects Office, and with me is Robin Donner, Program Manager of the Strategic Initiatives Projects, who will be presenting with me. The Primary Care Provider Recruitment and Retention Strategy Report responds to Council's April 2025 direction to explore options for physician recruitment strategy for the City of Ottawa. The report provides an overview of the root causes of the primary care crisis, what is being done by Ontario Health to mitigate the situation, and discusses Ottawa's specific challenges and what makes it unique. The strategy was led by the Strategic Projects Office, given our mandate to coordinate cross-departmental efforts on complex, interrelated, new, and emerging priorities. The strategy requires a whole-of-city approach involving multiple city departments, including Ottawa Public Health, as well as collaboration with other levels of government and the broader stakeholder community. In developing the strategy, staff met with over 25 subject matter experts, including primary care providers, medical school administrators, and Ontario health policy experts. De plus, Santé publique Ottawa a entrepris une analyse des approches utilisées par les autres municipalités. Next slide, please. The issue as to why there is a primary care shortage is multifaceted, and it's exacerbated by population growth, increasing complexity of patient care and administrative burden, a retirement wave of existing family doctors worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, restrictive or inadequate funding models, shifts away from comprehensive medicine to focused care such as sports medicine, pain specialists, or hospitalists, and generational changes in workload and patient volumes. Through Ontario's Primary Care Action Plan, the province is investing $2.1 billion into healthcare with the goal of attaching every resident with a primary care provider by 2029. These changes will have a positive impact on the number of primary care providers entering the system and presents a significant opportunity to advance Ottawa's primary care needs. The actions outlined in this report will position the city to take full advantage of the provincial initiatives. Next slide, please. Estimates within the local primary care sector suggest Ottawa's needs for new primary care providers is significant. There are also existing provincial policies that disadvantage Ottawa by barring international medical graduates from practicing here for 5 years and by limiting physician partnerships beyond 5 kilometers, which is a significant issue for Ottawa's rural communities particularly. Smaller, remote, and rural communities have been using direct financial or other incentives to attract physicians. However, these programs are not without controversy, as they tend to pit municipalities against each other, and municipalities offering the most money usually win. This practice may also run contrary to the Municipal Act, which prevents municipalities from offering benefits like this to select for-profit providers. Ottawa also does not have the same recruitment challenges as smaller or more remote communities. Primary care providers want to and do live here. Our challenge is to make it easier for them to stay in comprehensive family medicine and to remain in Ottawa to do it. Next slide, please. Le rapport recommande un plan d'action en 10 points visant à renforcer la position d'Ottawa pour attirer et retenir les fournisseurs de soins primaires. The action plan targets areas under the city's control and leverages partnerships, like with the Ontario health teams where responsibilities intersect. The action plan is aimed at strengthening Ottawa's position to attract and retain primary care providers by building a liaison between the primary care sector and the City of Ottawa, promoting the City of Ottawa and advocating to the province for the removal of restrictive policies, reducing the administrative burden on providers so they can concentrate on meeting the health needs of patients, and creating an environment that makes choosing to practice comprehensive family medicine in Ottawa easier. I'll now pass it to Robin Donner, who will provide an overview of the actions outlined in the plan.
The cornerstone to the city's approach is the creation of an ambassador to liaise with the primary care sector to represent and promote the City of Ottawa while building relationships with our healthcare partners. This role has been identified as a best practice, and communities that have created a dedicated resource have found success across multiple initiatives that support recruitment and retention. The City of Hamilton has had a significant success in their recruitment and have recently expanded to 2 full-time individuals. And in recent years, they've added over 35 permanent physicians and 35 locums to cover temporary absences. Funding exists to create this position and the associated budget. Sorry. Forward the slide. Sorry, next. I thought you said next. Okay. And next again. Focusing on recruitment and advocacy, the city will join the Eastern Ontario Physician Recruitment Alliance to leverage its network, resources, and expertise in advancing Ottawa's primary care recruitment objectives. Advocate to the province for policy changes that will remove barriers to physician recruitment in Ottawa. Develop a centralized database in coordination with primary care providers to catalog and publish physician and nurse practitioner vacancies in Ottawa to help new graduates and relocating providers find and apply for full-time, part-time, and locum positions. Design and implement a targeted recruitment plan focused on local, provincial, and international candidates for both physicians and nurse practitioner vacancies, and collaborate with Ottawa Public Health to identify ways to improve residents' access to primary care to help ensure equitable service for priority populations. Next slide, please. Focusing on creating capacity within the primary care sector, the city will contribute to the development of nonprofit medical clinics by exploring opportunities to contribute land or space for the creation of new or expanded nonprofit medical centers. Assist physicians in preparing proposals and navigating the Ontario health application process to expand or establish new clinics. This item was identified by the Ontario Medical Association as a key support municipalities can provide to local physicians. Undertake a review to streamline internal and external facing city administrative policies and employee benefits that require consultation with primary care providers with the aim of reducing unnecessary reliance on primary care providers for city business processes. And lastly, identify partnership opportunities between City of Ottawa departments and the primary care sector with the goal of easing demand on primary care providers and free up capacity for them to accept more patients. Next slide.
Mayor, that concludes the presentation. We'd be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for the presentation, and thanks for all the hard work in this area. Obviously, this is an important issue for our residents. Healthcare is not a municipal responsibility, but this is an opportunity for us to make a difference in this space and do what is within our control. So thank you very much for all the hard work that went into this. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be supporting the...
Oh, sorry, Councillor Brockington. Perhaps we'll go to the delegations first. Sorry, my fault. So we do have a number of delegations which we'll go to, and then we'll open it up for questions. First is Dr. Hogg from the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Ottawa. Good morning.
Good morning. Monsieur le maire, mesdames et messieurs les conseillers, bonjour et merci de me donner l'occasion de m'adresser à vous aujourd'hui. Je m'appelle Dr. Bill Hogg, je suis directeur par intérim du département de médecine familiale de l'Université d'Ottawa. Je suis heureux d'être ici aujourd'hui pour appuyer la nouvelle stratégie de recrutement et de maintien en poste des fournisseurs de soins primaires de la ville d'Ottawa. The Department of Family Medicine is the largest clinical department in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Ottawa and is responsible for training family physicians. Family medicine is a medical specialty that requires successful completion of a 2-year residency program after medical school. The University of Ottawa's program currently has 170 family medicine residents training in teaching clinics across the Ottawa region. During their program, family medicine residents provide care to tens of thousands of patients in Ottawa under the supervision of experienced family medicine teachers. We are in the midst of an expansion that will bring us close to training 200 family physician residents to provide comprehensive, person-centered medical and preventive services to people of all ages and life stages within the context of their family and community. They will play a foundational role in the healthcare workforce for our region. There is robust evidence that access to primary care improves health outcomes, reduces hospitalizations and costs, and improves equity. As you are all aware, the City of Ottawa, like many parts of the province and country, is facing a severe shortage of primary care providers. While primary care is also provided by generalist pediatricians, nurse practitioners, and others, 95% of primary care in Ontario is delivered by family doctors. The most recent data from the Ottawa Neighbourhood Study indicates that roughly 250,000 Ottawa residents are not attached to a primary care provider. Many of the most socioeconomically disadvantaged neighborhoods have the highest rates of unattached patients. In Lower Town, Sandy Hill, and Vanier, for instance, the unattached patient rate varies between 32 and 38%. À eux seuls, ces trois quartiers comptent environ 20 000 personnes non attitrées. I'm very encouraged by the investment, excuse me, from the provincial government announced in the budget earlier this year through their primary care action plan of a $300 million fund to create 17 new teaching clinics at Ontario's medical schools. One of these new teaching clinics, to be paid for by the provincial government, will be in Ottawa. I am equally heartened by the City of Ottawa's active leadership role, exemplified by its primary care provider recruitment and retention strategy. Pour que tout le monde dans notre région ait accès à des services de soins primaires de haute qualité, il faudra une collaboration créative entre tous les parties prenantes. Le département de médecine familiale de l'Université d'Ottawa s'engage à travailler avec la ville d'Ottawa pour y arriver. Merci.
Merci. All right, questions? Councillor Troster.
Thank you so much for being here. I was just wondering what you think of the model that we've seen in some other municipalities where cities have actually hired doctors as municipal employees, saving them the overhead of having to open a family practice. It seems to be happening in some smaller communities. I'm just interested in your perspective on how you think that might be an option.
Thank you for a difficult question. I think in smaller communities, rural communities that might have only one clinic, that would work. but in a city the size of Ottawa, you would run the risk of favoring some new arrivals compared to people who have been here and contributing for years. In your action plan that was presented just moments ago, there is a specific statement to assist not-for-profit facilities, and I would favor that.
Thank you, Councillor Troster. Conseillère Plante.
Oui, merci beaucoup pour votre intervention. On s'est parlé déjà à ce sujet. On s'est parlé déjà. Est-ce qu'il y a un feedback? Attends. OK. On s'est parlé déjà à ce sujet et je vous remercie, by the way, d'être venu à Vanier pour voir un peu les défis dans ce quartier-là. Vous avez mentionné le nombre de gens qui ne sont pas rattachés à des soins primaires dans mon quartier. Évidemment, ça m'inquiète beaucoup et ça m'inquiète surtout parce que ce n'est pas des gens qui sont vraiment plugués avec des services. Ce n'est pas des gens qui vont faire des suivis quand ils sont sur des listes d'attente. Ce n'est pas des gens qui vont écrire ou déléguer. C'est des gens qui ont beaucoup de responsabilités puis ont beaucoup de mal à rejoindre les deux bouts à la fin du mois. One of the things I noticed this weekend, I was actually in Gatineau for Thanksgiving, is they seem to have a lot of private clinics that have popped up in Quebec. I just noticed two, I hadn't noticed them before driving there. I was wondering what you thought of the proliferation of private clinics. Is this happening as well here in Ontario? And then I have a second question for you afterwards, but I'll let you answer that first. Merci.
The money that will be coming from the provincial government to pay for a new clinic comes with some strings attached. At least that's still evolving, but it is clear that they want the clinic to be situated in a quartier which has a high unattached patient prevalence. They also want the clinic to be situated in a place where people are otherwise economically or socially disadvantaged. Donc, le quartier de Vanier, il me semble, est éligible au point de vue du gouvernement provincial. In terms of the increase in the number of private clinics, this is clearly happening more rapidly in Quebec than in Ontario. That said, I think that there are many patients that are willing to pay a fee to enable their providers to continue to offer a decent service. In the blended capitation system which is a very progressive remuneration system for family physicians in the province of Ontario, the clinic would receive about $260 for the whole year to look after someone like you. So it's not a profession at the moment where people go to get rich. And I think that there's only so much that can be controlled at the university or here at the municipality. But the remuneration of proper remuneration of primary care providers has got to happen to really fix the problem.
I also wanted to ask you, I think it's amazing, by the way, that you want to get to 200 graduates diplômés or a year in specialized in family medicine. I was wondering if the university keeps track, and I was going to make a joke, it took you a long time to get here today because you're literally up the street, but how many of those physicians stay either in the Ottawa area or the 613 area code? Do you track that? Because as you know, in Quebec, they're trying to put in some measures where family doctors trained in Quebec have to stay there for 5 years. But I was wondering if you keep even more localized data, because I would be curious to know how many graduates stay in the Ottawa area, especially because some of them have been here for like 8 years by the time they're done their studies.
As far as I know, we don't track that. There are a number of initiatives. I would think we will soon be tracking it. There are a number of issues that are being introduced at the level of the Faculty of Medicine to increase the percentage of family doctors that will come from and stay in the region.
And my last question, what is the percentage of graduates that are formés in French versus English?
We have a strong Francophone program. And actually, I do have information about the retention of graduates from that part of our program. The whole of, from here to Hawkesbury is filled with family doctors that have been trained in the Francophone program within our department and faculty. And the recruitment rates the retention and rates are very high and very encouraging.
Merci beaucoup, j'apprécie. Et je vous souhaite un bon voyage, retour à l'université. Merci.
Merci.
Merci. Councillor Dudas.
To continue on the retention theme and to understand a little bit more about your students, where are your students coming from? I mean, you're a world-renowned university and you're probably drawing from across the country and other parts. Are they predominantly from Ottawa?
If council is okay, I can take that response. So for context, I'm Melissa Forgy. I'm the interim dean at the Faculty of Medicine. So we have ministry mandated guidelines about the students we take. So the ministry now requires us to take 95 of our MD students from Ontario. And we have met that criterion, and we actually expanded our own admission criteria here at the University of Ottawa to ensure that the vast majority actually come from the Ottawa area region, because we have data to show that if you come from this area, you are more likely to stay. So that's been a strategic change in our own admissions processes to ensure that.
And you led exactly into my question, which was, do they want to stay here?
So that's the million-dollar question. And so as Bill was alluding to, it's very complex about the issues that make people stay and want to stay in the Ottawa area. And there are competing opportunities for them. So once you've done family medicine, you can do an extra year of training in anesthesia, in sports medicine, and so forth. These are quite attractive because they're highly remunerative. You may not necessarily need to pay for your own office. We are also hiring hospitalists at the level of the hospital. I'm a physician at TOH. We really love having our hospitalists there to help look after the huge volume of inpatients. So there are multiple reasons. I think where the city can have a role is, and I'll speak to that in a little bit, is just making this a place where they want to stay. It's not just about practicing family medicine.
That's excellent. And I don't mean to step into your comments that you're about to give, but what is before us today? What are your thoughts? I mean, you spoke about that it is a huge step forward. You spoke about the obstacles that are in front of us with the provincial legislation. Do you think that this goes far enough in terms of what the municipality is able to do, recognizing that this is not our domain and we can only do so much?
So that little bit leads into what I was going to propose to you. It's like we planned.
I'm happy to wait.
You're going to have to wait to hear that answer, Councillor. Okay, thank you. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, doctors, for being here today. We appreciate your time and your advocacy. On that note, if we were to advocate to the Ministry of Health on solving the doctor shortage in particular, what would you advise us? What's the number one issue you would like us to advocate or to mention to the ministry?
Well, I mean, as Dr. Hogg alluded to, it relates to, I mean, it's, getting our students to go into family medicine starts at the first day of medical school. It also starts before that in terms of whom we admit to medical school, which is why we talked about changing our admissions policies. We are now talking about direct entry, so they come in and they commit to family medicine. It relates to who we license. It relates to number of family medicine residency spots. It relates to the experience they have in training. So that's a big factor. If they don't have a good experience during their training, they're unlikely to choose family medicine. And then when they're doing their family medicine residency training, if that isn't favorable, then they're unlikely to stay practicing complex care. It also speaks to what Bill was suggesting in the remuneration. I mean, that amount of money to take on a patient it's quite frankly not remunerative. And if you think about our family physicians who have to have to pay for their own overhead, their own offices, they have enormous administrative fees. So advocating for, we'll deal with the who goes in, trying to get them in and giving them an excellent training experience, but we need to advocate for better remuneration. They have a tremendous administrative burden, which is almost unspeakable in some cases in terms of consuming time that could be spent looking after patients. We need to think better, think smarter, use AI. We talked with your team a little bit about even things like sick notes that are required for employees. We can do better in decreasing it at so many levels.
Thank you for that.
If I might add to the question, I think that the province is really stepping up at the moment. Dr. Jane Philpott has shared a vision of what needs to happen to repair and prepare primary care for the future. Province is ready to spend $2.1 billion to not only increase enrollment in medical schools, but to do all sorts of other things. So I think if you're talking to the province, you should give them some credit that we can all agree it would have been better if they had done this several years earlier before the crisis got to be as bad as it is. But they are, in fact, making generational investments in family medicine. Ottawa, the situation for the access to primary care services in Ottawa is quite possibly the worst of any city in the province. And I think the province is concerned that they're not going to succeed in Ottawa, and that they are open to our efforts to get our act together and do what we can collaboratively to make a difference here. I think that they're listening.
Thank you. Could you just clarify, do the universities set the number of students who can enter medical school, or is that set by the province?
That's determined by the ministry. It determines how many students we take and also how many residents we take into each of the areas, including family medicine.
And in recent years, can you speak to how those numbers have increased?
So they have all increased significantly. There unfortunately has been a little bit of a lag about the resources to fund and to train those individuals. We're in a catch-up deficit phase right now, but the expansion has been significant. You'll see that our numbers in family medicine will almost double from 100 to 200 per year eventually when we get up to full speed.
Are resources the main issue why we would not increase the number of students even more?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a very complex situation. We are only paid for a fraction of what it costs to train a medical student. For example, our clinical faculty aren't paid to teach. So that comes out of other departments and et cetera. It's quite complicated. There are barriers down at the university level, again, through the ministry funding and quotas and so forth. So we certainly have the capacity to expand. All of the schools in Ontario have the capacity to expand. Were we able to change service issues, remuneration issues, but it's all dictated by the ministry.
Fair enough. Thank you both for being here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilleur Plante.
Bonjour, c'est moi encore. I just had three questions. So first of all, can you talk about how did we get here? Like, we talked about this family doctor shortage. It's been known for a while. I feel like I've been hearing about it, at least from my time in the community association, for at least 10 years. And looking forward, assuming the motion is passed and we have a robust program in place, do you think we're going to have the same issues, or we have the same issues with nurses, gynecologists, pediatricians, sage-femme, and other service providers who are equally as important as family doctors?
That's a great question. Thank you. I'm going to speak to a little bit of that in my presentation, but absolutely. I mean, healthcare is in a crisis. It was in a crisis before the pandemic, and the pandemic has made it much worse because people simply left the provision of healthcare. We have many, nursing vacancies in all of our hospitals. We have waiting lists for specialists. We have people that are retiring. And so that was a little bit actually speaking to your colleague. The numbers don't really tell the truth. So the numbers of physicians we have, they're not all practicing full time. They're not necessarily practicing in their area of specialization. So absolutely yes to all of the above. We need to expand. I think that speaks to the larger issue, and I will be speaking to that a bit. We need to be more creative about the provision of healthcare. So, for example, we're looking at helping the Faculty of Psychology to develop a program where psychologists can prescribe. So then that will offload a huge amount of the mental health burden. We're taking on training of technicians, physician assistants, and so forth. All sorts of ways we can do to unpack the volume that the healthcare system is facing.
And then my last question is, I don't know if this is part of your presentation, but the international recruitment, can you just sort of explain why Ottawa is disadvantaged? Like, does the university have this kind of bump 2-year program to help them get certified in Ontario and then they just can't stay? I was wondering if you could unpack that a bit.
So historically, international medical graduates have not been allowed to practice in Ottawa until they had fulfilled, return of service agreements in northern remote communities. And that has disadvantaged Ottawa, obviously. So that could be something that you could lobby the provincial government to change. That is in your 10-point action plan. The province, as far as I can see, is making it easier and easier for international medical graduates to get licensed to be able to practice in Ontario. There's lots of it. In our training programs, we have clinics in Pembroke and Winchester and all sorts of other places, and there's lots of activity in that respect in the rural parts of our training programs. That same route to independent licensure is not available to international medical graduates to practice in the city of Ottawa.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. Dr. Forgy, did you want to go ahead with your comments now? Thanks.
Merci, thank you. Chers maires, conseillères et conseillers municipaux, bonjour et merci de me donner l'occasion de m'adresser à vous aujourd'hui. Good morning, Mayor Sutcliffe and councillors. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Dr. Melissa Forgy. I'm the Interim Dean at the University of Ottawa Faculty of Medicine. I'm very pleased to be here today to speak in full support of the City of Ottawa's new primary care provider recruitment and retention strategy. Je tiens tout d'abord à rendre hommage à la conseillère Stéphanie Plante. Son leadership dans la présentation de la motion qui a donné lieu à ce plan a ouvert la voie à d'importantes discussions sur le renforcement de soins primaires pour les résidentes et les résidents d'Ottawa. Un gros merci. Je tiens également à féliciter le personnel de la ville d'avoir élaboré un plan très bien réfléchi et pratique assorti de priorités très claires. Today, I would like to touch on how the Faculty of Medicine can play a key role in addressing several actions in your excellent plan, specifically actions 4, 6, and 10. As my colleague Dr. Hogg outlined, the challenges we face are very complex and long-standing. Many of our faculty members are family physicians who experience these issues every single day. We have world-renowned experts here in Ottawa who have done in-depth analysis to understand all of the problems and lead the work towards the solutions. This is why I'm very excited to share a proposal with the potential to transform how primary care is delivered across Ottawa. In so doing, the City of Ottawa can become a national leader, not only in partnership with the Faculty of Medicine, but also in the delivery of evidence and outcome-based services. The faculty has a vision to create an integrated primary care hub in partnership with the City of Ottawa, a major new not-for-profit facility that will dramatically expand access to primary care, support medical education, and drive technological innovation in family medicine while providing integrated priority city services essential to community well-being. This hub can be located in a high-need neighborhood, for example, Lower Town, Sandy Hill, or Vanier, serving up to 20,000 unattached patients. Crucially, it would also serve as an academic training site with state-of-the-art teaching infrastructure, allowing our faculty to expand the number of family physicians we can graduate each year. The hub will operate on an interprofessional team model that brings together and trains nurse practitioners and allied professionals. We know, and we have data to support this, that where care providers train and where they feel part of the community strongly influences where they choose and stay to practice. By creating a high-quality, team-based environment for training and mentorship right here in Ottawa, we are investing directly in the city's future primary care workforce. Beyond care and teaching, the hub will create a center for research and innovation, developing and applying new technologies and ways to support better clinical care, smarter training, and stronger system integration. This hub will bring together the City of Ottawa, the private sector, and the University of Ottawa. The hub would also open the door for co-located city services that we could identify and work together with in collaboration, linking health and social supports under one roof to make critical services more accessible and more equitable. Notre faculté accomplit déjà un travail important dans ce domaine. Nous nous sommes engagés à promouvoir la responsabilité sociale et à forger des partenariats communautaires solides sous la gouvernance de la Dr. Claire Kendall, notre doyenne associée à la responsabilité sociale. Cela se reflète notamment dans nos efforts conjoints avec le Comité consultatif pour la sécurité et le bien-être dans les collectivités de la ville et dans le cadre de l'initiative City Studio Ottawa. This hub would represent a major step forward in our work together to strengthen healthcare delivery in Ottawa. Our funded, planned expansion of family medicine training infrastructure also aligns with the Ontario government's primary care action plan and the corresponding significant funding for expanded community-based primary care teaching clinics. With your partnership and added support, we can ensure these resources are deployed in the areas of greatest need and deliver maximum evidence-based benefit to residents. In addition to providing our support of the primary care strategy, we wish to explore a partnership with the City of Ottawa in the creation of this primary care hub. We wish to better understand how we can collaborate to best meet the city's needs, what services the city might wish to co-locate, what the city can contribute to this endeavor in partnership with the Faculty of Medicine and the broader University of Ottawa. The Faculty of Medicine's community roots run very deep here in Ottawa, and we are very proud to support the City of Ottawa's vision to improve health of its population. We believe this is a wonderful opportunity for collaboration that will benefit our fellow citizens for years to come. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Forgy, and thanks for all your help along the way on this. We much appreciated. Councillor Gower.
Thanks, Mayor, and thank you for being here. I guess one quick follow-up to the questions that have already been asked. In the report mentions that Ottawa is short at least 270 primary care providers, and at least 165,000 residents do not have direct access to primary care. But it's kind of implied there's a bit of uncertainty. Those are probably underestimates. Can you explain who's tracking these numbers and what numbers our council should be looking at over the next few years as we're trying to evaluate whether or not this strategy is having any success?
Thank you. So that was a little bit what I was alluding to about evidence-based outcomes and data-informed metrics. And Claire Kendall is arguably one of the world leaders in attachment rates. She belongs to us and to you, in the City of Ottawa and the Faculty of Medicine. So our data are actually very accurate about unattached rates. In fact, the province, she's an advisor to the province in this regard. So we can give you the very precise numbers of who the unattached patients are, their socioeconomic and demographic statuses, where they live, and other co-contributing factors, which is why I was referring to the importance of ensuring it's not just access to primary care, but all of the services that are needed to improve their health. We will be tracking this, and we do track this with outcomes, and we have the database and the technology to do that. Again, I was alluding to a little bit about how we can also help with tracking the data and inform the evidence for some of the other initiatives for improving community-based resources.
Okay, excellent, because I think it'll be important. We've presented these 10 initiatives. Be important to understand which ones are working, which ones are not, what the outcomes are, so that when we're looking at whether or not we expand, for example, the ambassador program for another 2 years, right? Where are we best to focus our resources? So looking forward to seeing some of those numbers and how they change. So thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Councillor Plante?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because we did touch upon midwives and nurses, but another thing I hear often in the community is we only have one location on Montreal Road and Chimay-Vanier Parkway for like diagnostic testing, so blood and urine samples and all that. And I believe the Byward Family Health Team used to do that on Marie Curie. I can't think of another one that's sort of in the downtown east end, but if that's, I mean, I know that's not part of this report, but I just wanted to mention that that is something I hear all the time too. Like people go to give a blood sample and they're waiting 2, 3, 4 hours because there's just such a demand for it. So I just wanted to, you don't have to, I mean, you can comment if you want, but I wanted to include that as well.
It's like you and I planned this question. So that's what I was referring to when I referred to partnership with industry. So we know that there's a huge deficit for access to laboratory services, diagnostic imaging, and that's we can partner with industry to bring them into this primary hub so the patients don't have to get on 3 buses that they can't afford to get their blood test. Absolutely. And I think the private sector would be very, very interested.
Okay, great. Thank you both. Dr. Hogg, Dr. Forgy. Much appreciated. We'll go next to Dr. Danielle Gervais, the Ottawa Primary Care Network Clinical Lead, who is online.
Hi, it's Monica Armstrong. I'm going to speak first, and then Dr. Gervais will add her comments. So my name's Monica Armstrong. I'm the Executive Director of the Ottawa, Ontario Health Team, and I'm here with Dr. Danielle Gervais, who is our Primary Care Network Clinical Lead for the Ottawa, Ontario Health Team. So we're speaking to you today on behalf of our primary care network. We are one of 58 Ontario health teams funded by Ontario Health with the mandate to advance health system integration with specific deliverables regarding clearing the Healthcare Connect waitlist and achieving 100% patient attachment to family physicians, nurse practitioners, and primary care teams by 2029 in accordance with the Primary Care Action Team under Dr. Jane Philpott. Our primary care network is a robust and inclusive network of family physicians, nurse practitioners, and allied primary care professionals whose collective voice is leveraged to co-design system changes for access to clinical supports and improvements for primary care, population health, and patient experience to develop and deliver comprehensive primary care for our residents. We support the city's commitment to ensuring every resident has access to comprehensive primary care and appreciate the opportunity for members of our Ontario Health Team and Primary Care Network, along with our colleagues from adjacent OHTs, to meet with the report's author on several occasions and to provide feedback on the drafting of the report. We applaud several recommendations, including creating an ambassador position, joining the Eastern Ontario Primary Care Recruitment Agency, advocating to the province, contributing to clinical development, and reducing internal city policies and practices that increase the administrative burden on family physicians and nurse practitioners. And we look forward to working collaboratively with the city on implementing these initiatives. Today, we wanted to talk a little bit about some opportunities with the Ontario Health Teams and the Primary Care Network to possibly be included in your report. So there's not a lot mentioned in the report about including OHTs and primary care networks as implementation partners. There are 3 Ontario Health Teams and primary care networks that span the city's borders. So the Ottawa Ontario Health Team, the Ottawa West Four Rivers to the west, and Archipel in the east. OHTs and PCNs are mandated to organize and streamline health services and improve population health outcomes through collaboration with partners, including the city. PCNs unite primary care clinicians to enhance collaboration, share resources, and improve care coordination. Both OHTs and PCNs offer the opportunity to strengthen this report and the implementation of the initiatives and any other successful recruitment and retention strategy. By fostering deeper partnerships between the OHT and the PCN and the city, Everyone can play their collaborative role in pivoting to support primary care recruitment and retention. By working together, the city could address municipal level challenges such as offering rent subsidies for clinic space or create more sustainable conditions to primary care. Pairing the proposed ambassador position with our physician advisory group would ensure that implementation is grounded in frontline expertise and aligned with the realities of local practices. The strategy does propose some service that duplicate existing resources without clear justification. For example, the Ottawa OHT and PCN have mandated role to lead local efforts to support family doctors and primary care teams to identify attachment gaps and support and coordinate funding proposals to Ontario Health with the goal of achieving 100% attachment. By joining our efforts, we can strengthen these initiatives moving forward. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Gervais. Is she on? Can someone see her?
We're checking now.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
There we go.
is that working now? Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you everyone for the opportunity to be here. I'm the primary care network lead with the OHT and a relatively new position that I've only been in for a couple of weeks. I'm also a family physician with the Byward Family Health Team, ironically. So Stephanie, happy to let you know that back at Marie Curie, the lab is still very much open and active, if that's helpful to you. Again, just a couple of points that we wanted to make. Primarily, we are very much in support of some of the changes that the city is proposing, but again, want to comment on a couple of things that might require a bit more attention. While there's lots of focus on recruitment, retention of existing clinicians, we believe, is inadequately addressed in the report. Our recent survey of family physicians and nurse practitioners found that almost 30% of those who answered the survey plan to retire or exit comprehensive care in the next 5 years, putting care for over 37,000 patients at risk. The survey identified evidence-based retention incentives, including rent reduction or subsidies, local support subsidies, and operational financial supports. These measures should be prioritized alongside recruitment efforts to prevent further erosion of primary care capacity. And finally, we believe that there's a mischaracterization of primary care business models. The reference to for-profit clinics misrepresents how primary care operates in Ottawa. Most primary care is delivered through family physician offices where all expenses, rent, staff, supplies, are self-funded through fixed and government negotiated OHIP billings. These are small business operating on margins, on very thin margins rather, and not profit-driven enterprises. Understanding this financial reality is essential for developing effective strategies to move forward. And with regards to moving forward, we appreciate that residents without access and attachment to primary care are a priority for the city, and they're certainly a priority for the province and for our OHT. We offer this feedback in the spirit of partnership and remain committed to working together to ensure that all Ottawa residents have access to needed primary care. We welcome the opportunity to meet with city officials and to discuss meaningful integration into the Ottawa OHT and PCN, into strategy implementation, and to explore the practical partnerships outlined above. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both for presenting. Councillor Plante.
I believe Councillor Gower had his hand up.
Okay, he just put it up, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Drs. Gervais and Armstrong. I did really want to, just a quick question, because in sort of the group of doctors that I knew who, we were just parents at the same school that my son went to, most of them had a drop off when they were, say, in their mid-30s or early 40s for a variety of reasons. Too cumbersome. It was taking up too much time. The patient load was too much. The patients were getting more complex. I was wondering if you could talk about that, because it did seem to affect women more than men, but maybe I'm reading the situation wrong. But I agree with you that retention is an issue, but it seems like the issues that are keeping them, that take them out of family medicine are a lot larger than what a municipality could take on.
Monica, do you want to speak to what our primary care survey shows?
Yeah, so, it's a very complex situation that we're in, right? Lots of factors have led to where we are. We work quite closely with Dr. Claire Kendall as well, so we can break that down, and it's very different in different neighborhoods, right? We have some neighborhoods where we have a very young population, and we have a lot of babies being born that don't then have access to primary care. Same for older adults. And then sort of those childbearing years, those are also key demographics where when we look at neighborhoods with higher rates of social determinants of health, also tend to be higher in unattachment. And so, being able to look at each neighborhood and look at what the needs of those neighborhoods are. There is currently a round of proposals going forward. Right now, there's been a second call for proposals. And again, we're prioritizing those neighborhoods where we have those higher levels of unattachment. For the physician side of things, again, many of those factors, these are, when you're practicing comprehensive family medicine, you're following a family right through. And so when that doctor gets to the retirement age, that often, that whole family now is going to lose their family physician. And plus all of the other things that we've talked about, the admin burden, all of those. And it's the way that family physicians are paid also is not lucrative, and is really hard work, but it's so fundamental to health across all our population. Danielle, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the only thing to add, your question is specifically about female physicians, but I think also increasingly the next generation of family physicians is looking for more balance from a lifestyle perspective, whether they're moms or dads, right? So I think it behooves all of us to try to support those family physicians throughout life stages, and to support when they want to, when they need a break, when they need leaves for parental leave, for example, that kind of thing, right? As we've all talked about so far.
Thank you. Councillor Gower.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks to both of you for your presentation. I was going to ask something very similar to Councillor Plante, so I won't ask it again, but I am going to ask staff when we get to our questions for staff to address two of your points, the one around retention, because I do think there is a role for the ambassador to be working with, consulting with all partners in our healthcare system, whether it's the Ontario Health Teams, primary care networks, community health centers, community resource centers. These are all groups that are working together and all part of the broader partnership to improve our primary care situation. And then also the nuance around the for-profit versus nonprofit when it comes to primary care professionals. So thank you for raising both of those, and I'll ask staff later on to address those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you again to both of you for presenting today. I'll open it up to questions now for staff. Councillor Gower.
All right, well, I'll pick up where we just left off. On the question of retention, I see that as a natural role for that ambassador to play. Is that staff's intention that that ambassador, beyond obviously the recommendation around recruitment as a priority, are they going to be involved in that retention piece as well to try to advance our strengths there?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is a recruitment and retention strategy, and the actions outlined in there are both there to enable both the recruitment of new primary care providers, but also the retention of those, and enabling them to have greater capacity to focus on the health needs of their patients.
And so then that ambassador has a broader role, a responsibility. They'll be our point person to carry out all 10 of these recommendations. That'll be their role.
That's correct.
Okay. And then on the nuance around the terminology for-profit when it comes to primary care providers. Can staff comment on how they view that, and just comment on what the delegation had raised there?
So, Mr. Mayor, the for-profit and not-for-profit is a business designation, and so the action plan looks at supporting those businesses that are incorporated as a not-for-profit.
And then how does that relate to recommendations? Like there's one specifically around discounting city office space or land. Who would and would not be eligible? What kinds of primary care providers would or wouldn't be eligible for that kind of assistance?
Through the mayor. So under the Municipal Act, we are not able to provide supports for-profit businesses. Those would be considered bonusing, and that is why we look at the designation of the businesses when offering support such as low cost or land transfer nominal value as an example.
But would a family health team, I guess it would depend on how they're incorporated. Okay.
That's correct.
I won't get into the weeds anymore there. It's a 2-year pilot for the ambassador position. How will we be measuring success to determine whether or not that would continue?
So, Mr. Mayor, we'll be looking at the number of patients that become attached to a primary care provider versus unattached. We'll also be looking at the measure of success in new permanent and temporary physicians and nurse practitioners that begin rostering patients. But as noted in the report, these initiatives will take some time to establish, and so we propose to report back to Council at the end of the 2-year pilot to update on the progress related to the 10 recommended actions, success measures, and how we have been successful in moving those forward, but also to propose any recommended next steps to address the primary care crisis as it evolves.
Can you set expectations 2 years from now? Is there a certain number of doctors or of attachments that you have in mind, or is that, do you have those targets yet?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. If I could just wrap up, Mr. Mayor, I've been really focused on primary care, healthcare, certainly in the West End. I have a motion coming up later in this meeting to try to advance our work on a Stittsville Canada Health Hub that's anchored in a primary care team. There's a great analogy that Jane Philpott uses. Dr. Philpott was mentioned earlier, comparing how we approach primary care in our province to how we approach public education. And it's a great analogy where she says, can you imagine if you were moving from one city to another in Ontario and you didn't have a guaranteed space for your kids at school? Or if you kept your kids at a school 5 or 6 hours away just because you weren't sure whether or not you could get that space in your local school. Or if we had a school system where your kids might have a place, but it could be, if you live in Stittsville, maybe it's Orleans where they go to grade 1. And it's just, we can't fathom that. We have universal access to schools within our community. And that's ultimately the vision that I think the Ontario government, under the leadership of Dr. Philpott, is trying to get to. And I can see how all of these recommendations in the report are realistic things that our city can do to help reach that vision, that people have access to primary care within their own community. And it's going to be a long journey to take there, but I'm glad that City of Ottawa is stepping forward with a strategy to try to help wherever we can. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gower. Councillor King?
Thank you so much, Your Worship. I had a few questions, and they build on the questions from Councillor Gower in terms of success metrics. But I was just curious about the pilot program's budget adequacy. My understanding is that Hamilton has 2 full-time staff. Is Ottawa's budget sufficient to be competitive with other municipalities in terms of this retention and recruitment program?
So, Mr. Mayor, the budget was established looking at other municipalities had in place to deliver these services. Hamilton is further along, and since that they're now looking at expanding, but we believe that the one resource and the budget allocated will be sufficient to deliver the action plan.
I appreciate that. I'm also curious about not just physician recruitment, but I'm wondering if you could also talk about nurse practitioners. just very recently, we had the opening of the Ottawa nurse practitioner-led clinic that will benefit both Overbrook as well as Vanier. And I know that Councillor Plante was very proud to see the opening as well as Mayor Sutcliffe. And we think that this is going to be an amazing development because obviously there have been too many Vanier and Overbrook families who have been without a regular health care provider. And we know that that clinic represents hope and relief. And this is being obviously provided by nurse practitioners. While it's very important for us to ensure that we're recruiting and retaining family physicians, in which we have a huge deficit within this municipality, it's also important for us to look at new innovative models, such as utilizing nurse practitioner clinics. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to recruitment of nurse practitioners.
So Mayor, the strategy is focused on increasing primary care providers, which would include both physicians and nurse practitioners or other innovative models. We're looking at all of it.
That's excellent. I think that this is definitely a mechanism that will ensure that we can see more residents attached to primary care. And so it's a model that we need to work on. I'm also wondering if you can comment on the requirement for partnership. I think that partnership amongst these types of clinics, especially nurse practitioner clinics, will benefit if there are partnerships with other organizations such as community resource centers, as example, that don't have a health component. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to the work that you're doing around those partnerships, including partnerships with Ottawa Public Health.
So Mayor, partnerships is a key method by which we'll be able to deliver on the action plan. We won't be able to do anything on our own. And Action 10 in the plan is specifically focused on looking at where there are opportunities to create these partnerships, both with City of Ottawa departments and the services that were delivered, Ottawa Public Health, and then the providers within the community.
Thank you for that. I'm very excited, I must say, by the advent of this strategy. I think it's much needed. I know that one of the most heartbreaking things that we hear as councillors is really people reaching out to us asking, where can we find a family physician, and often having to say, no, we can't be of that assistance. And obviously we want to ensure that we are able to respond in the positive in the future in terms of the capacity for our residents to find family physicians or primary care. So I'm really pleased to see the advent of this report and the strategy before us, and I will definitely be providing support. And I want to thank my colleagues who have been advocating very strongly for this strategy, including my colleague, Councillor Plante, as well as the Mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councillor King. Councillor Plante.
C'était simplement pour vous remercier, non seulement pour le rapport, mais pour toutes les rencontres qu'on a fait à ce sujet. I think, as you can tell, there's a lot of interest for this around the table. And I also wanted to thank the mayor and his office who really took this over the finish line. That's all. Merci beaucoup. J'apprécie énormément. J'ai beaucoup de gens dans mon quartier qui ont des gros besoins. Merci.
Merci à vous. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few questions. I just remember writing an article in high school for the Citizen, and they titled it something like "Those Aging Baby Boomers Can Be Your Bread and Butter," and it was an article targeting people my age to be cognizant of. There was this wave coming through all industries. Certainly when my parents were baby boomers, and schools in River Ward were being built year after year to respond to this tidal wave, the largest cohort in Canadian history. We saw this coming. We saw this problem coming. Healthcare challenges. And so it's just not a surprise to the Ministry of Health, and we're certainly playing, behind the game here. And so it's frustrating for those 161,000 residents of our own city who are being bounced around private clinics, ERs, places where they shouldn't have to go to get primary health care, but that's the reality that they face. And I remember the media asking me a week or two ago, well, do you think this is a good expenditure? And I said, yeah, ask those 161,000 people who don't have a family doctor whether or not this is a good expense. Of course it is. I just noticed there are 3 motions today we're discussing regarding healthcare. And I support all 3 of those. And I support levels of government advocating for services for their residents when there's significant gaps and putting pressure on an upper level government to do their job. And so I absolutely think there's greater advocacy that the city can do with respect to healthcare provision in the city, not just medical doctors. We have gaps all through the healthcare service. We have gaps even as the baby boomers age. Where are they going to live? Where are they going to afford to live in the care that they need to receive? So we're not done in this regard, but I certainly appreciate the discussion we're having because it's very, very important. So with respect to advocacy, it's quite light here in the recommendation with respect to the province, but are there opportunities for grants? We agreed to facilitate the construction of this new clinic in Orleans. We're foregoing some future property tax revenue. That's a good investment for this community, but it's not the Ministry of Health that's contributing. We are contributing those funds. We're going to contribute resources in Canada-Stittsville. We are putting resources on the table for Ambassador and to do other work with respect to the matter we're discussing now. So are there opportunities either through this recommendation or for continued discussions that the mayor has or other representatives around that ring to continue to advocate to the provincial government, hey, we know what works well in our city. We're willing to do our part. We're willing to liaise with our stakeholders and community partners and do some work. But if there were grants or other provincial resources available, we'll take it because we can get it done here locally. So I'm not sure if staff can talk to this, but any opportunities to help offset some of the financial resources we're putting on the table, I think would be appreciated. So is staff aware of any opportunities, or are we just going to note that and when opportunities arise, raise? I think the province should be made aware of what we're doing in this regard. It's not just a one and done. There are multiple examples that we can cite for their awareness, but also to plant the seed that if there are grants or other resources available, we'd be happily receive them.
So, Mr. Mayor, we'd be continuing to look at whatever opportunities exist to expand primary care provision within the city.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kavanagh.
Thank you very much. And I join others in supporting this direction. I particularly am aware that newcomers have a really tough time finding family doctors as they come into the city. So it's one of the first questions that you hear. My concern is how much is dependent on available land, because it's not there's not a lot of city vacant land sitting around. And in areas such as my ward, where we have a good deal of social housing and definitely a need for primary care. We used to have a clinic, a private clinic that folded up. I guess they didn't think it was profitable to be in our area. And it's left people without primary care. So my concern is that there's not a lot of vacant or city land available. So what are other ways of tackling the issue in such areas where there is a need, but city land is not there?
So, Mr. Mayor, the plan it's a comprehensive set of actions that's created to enhance, both to recruit and retain additional primary care providers. The contributing to the development of new clinics is one of the actions, and we had used the example of providing space or land, but that is just one element within a broader plan. The actions in which working together is what's going to deliver the outcomes.
Hopefully, thank you. Hopefully we can talk to Ottawa Community Housing in terms of their future sites as well. Since that's one way we do kind of have land. So I hope that will be considered, because there's that possibility. I haven't really talk directly about this with the OCH, but it seems like an obvious one since we're running wellness clinics right now in our buildings. So can I just have your word? You'll look into it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, in fact, looking at opportunities for co-location and looking at some policy opportunities is something that we would have the ambassador consider. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the one example is Carlington with a health clinic in the first floor. And that is something that we should be able to do further, especially senior buildings. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kavanaugh. Councillor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to say thank you very much for this. I think there's tons of hope and lots of good things that can come from this. I will say that as a person who myself was without a family doctor for the past 7 years, and with my 2 daughters without a family doctor for the past 7 years, what has happened is there have been other options that we've had to take. It's very difficult to live without a family doctor for 7 years. So, you take the online versions, you Rocket Doctor, Tia Health, whatever it is. But I will say, like teachers during the pandemic, there's nothing that replaces the in-person visit with a family doc. Absolutely, technology can solve this problem, and you know who I am, so I would definitely be advocating for, the more technology, the better. But I'm really appreciative of what is going on here to help people have some kind of contact with a family doctor and hopefully in person, face to face. It makes all the difference. So anyway, I'm really appreciative of everyone's work on this, and I look forward to voting in favor.
Thank you, Councillor Curry. I'll just say thank you again to staff for all your hard work on this, a very important area. And Conseillère Plante, merci à vous. It's been great working with you on this, and this goes back to, I remember a column you wrote in 2022, I think, and you and I both heard about this during our campaigning in the last municipal election and spoke about it not long after we were sworn in. So I'm grateful to see the work moving forward to this point. So thank you, everyone, for all your effort on this. So is that carried? Thank you. There were no in-camera items. Information previously distributed. Councillor Gower, I believe you want to lift item 10.2. So you have a motion to lift that?
Yes, that pursuant to subsection 89.3 of the procedure bylaw, the committee approved that the rules of procedure be suspended to allow for the consideration of item 10.2. Is
that carried? Okay, Councillor Gower.
Yeah, I wanted to introduce a motion based on this item. Make sure I have the right one. Yes. Whereas the city recognizes the urgent community need for medical facilities and services, and whereas Council previously directed staff to engage in discussions with the Kanata-Stittsville Family Health Team proponents regarding a potential family health hub to be located at 1655 Maple Grove Road, and whereas the Municipal Act prohibits the city from disposing of land to private businesses at nominal or below market value, and whereas the City of Ottawa's disposal of real property policy requires that city-owned land be sold at fair market value and that notice be made to the public to solicit offers, and whereas sole sourcing is not permitted for viable real property. However, City Council has the discretion to waive the disposal of real property policy or sections of said policy. And whereas the proposed family health hub represents a high social value use that aligns with Council's strategic priorities related to health, well-being, and community development. And whereas the site, approximately 18 hectares in size, is currently not zoned to permit non-residential uses such as medical facilities or residential care facilities, therefore, be it resolved that Finance and Corporate Services Committee recommend Council direct staff to initiate a request for offers for the development of a health hub on the northern portion of the city-owned site located at 1655 Maple Grove Road. Be it further resolved that prior to the RFO, staff be directed to sever a portion of the site that is adequately sized and appropriately situated to support the development of a health hub, approximately 7 to 8 acres, with the severed area clearly identified and included in the RFO documentation. Be it further resolved that staff commit to working with the successful proponent of the RFO to amend the zoning bylaw to rezone the identified parcel to permit the intended health hub use, ensuring the land is suitably zoned. Be it further resolved that all costs incurred by the city related to the severance and rezoning of the subject lands be offset using funds from the eventual sale of the property. Be it further resolved that staff report back to council with the results of the RFO process and any recommendations regarding next steps for the development of the health hub by Q2 2026. So this stems from the IPD in front of us, which was a motion at council directing staff to enter into discussions with the Canada Stittsville Family Health Team to examine how a portion of municipal land in Stittsville could be made available for healthcare use. The conclusion of that IPD gives council the option to initiate an RFO process, and that's what this motion is meant to do. It's a small portion of a large piece of city land on Maple Grove Road near Canadian Tire Center, and I hope to have council or committee and then council support on this item. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gower. Is that carried? Sorry, Councillor Leeper.
I apologize, and a quick question on that. It speaks to revenues. Are we expecting the health hub would purchase the property from the city?
Yes, that's the expectation.
And has that been a discussion to date? They're anticipating that they'll need to purchase it some sort of fraction of market value?
In this case, depending on the for-profit or non-profit status of the primary care team that would be the proponents, if it is not considered not-for-profit, the sale would have to be at market rate. If there is a non-profit qualifying structure, then there could be discounts considered, but still to be determined through that RFO process.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, thank you.
No problem. Okay, is that carried? Thank you. Notices of motion. Councillor Gower, back to you.
Thank you. Whereas property municipally known as 40 Beechcliff Street was acquired by the former regional municipality of Ottawa-Carleton by expropriation in 1986 from Trendsetter Developments Limited for the purpose of the Southwest Transitway extension, whereas council has identified a housing crisis in the city of Ottawa, and whereas city staff have identified a portion of 40 Beechcliff Street being approximately 0.75 hectares in area for a potential attainable and affordable housing development, with the remainder of the lands continuing to be retained for the purpose of infrastructure and future extension of the LRT system. Whereas on April 1st, 2025, Finance and Corporate Services Committee in a report declared that part of 40 Beechcliff surplus to municipal needs, and Council on April 16, 2025 approved the transfer of it to a not-for-profit housing provider for the purpose of attainable and affordable housing. And whereas of the expropriated lands, the city intends to transfer parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 on a reference plan 4R37067 to a nonprofit housing provider. And whereas Section 42 of the Ontario Expropriations Act provides that an expropriating authority is to provide the expropriated owner first right of refusal in the event of the expropriating authority no longer needing the lands, and whereas the Expropriations Act further provides the expropriating authority with the ability to waive the right of first refusal with the approval of the approval authority, and whereas in the instance of the City of Ottawa, it is both the successor to the expropriating authority and to the approval authority, and whereas the report to Finance and Corporate Services Committee did not address the expropriation of the property. Therefore, be it resolved that the Finance and Corporate Services Committee recommend to Council that the right of first refusal pursuant to the Expropriations Act, Section 42, in respect to that portion of 40 Beechcliff Street, being parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, reference plan 4R37067, be waived on the basis that the subject lands are being transferred for nominal value to a not-for-profit housing provider in order to meet the city's housing priorities.
Thank you, Councillor Gower.
You're welcome.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And out of an interest for time, I'll just read the therefore be it resolved clauses. This motion would ask council to declare a very small piece of land, city-owned land, surplus. So the switching station for the BESS facility that was approved in my ward almost 2 years ago can proceed. It says, therefore be it resolved that Finance and Economic Development Committee recommends City Council declare the subject property surplus to municipal needs for the duration of the proposed lease to be approved and concluded by the General Manager of Strategic Initiatives. And be it further resolved that Finance and Economic Development Committee recommend that City Council waive the section of the City of Ottawa leasing policy requiring that notice of the available property for lease be provided to the public as surplus prior to leasing. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Inquiries. Councillor Gower.
Yes, on behalf of Councillor Desroches, I'll just, there's a preamble which will be on the record, but the inquiry questions themselves. How is the City of Ottawa ensuring that the acquisition of real estate property for public housing, transportation, and infrastructure projects is being approached with a sense of urgency? What internal service standards or performance targets guide the city's real estate property acquisition process? What is the standard range and or average time frame for completing a real estate property acquisition from private ownership, the federal government, and the provincial government? How many active real estate property acquisition files currently involve land owned by the federal or provincial governments? Is there annual reporting on real estate property acquisition timeframes that indicates timelines for private, federal, and provincial transactions? If not, can such a reporting process be developed?
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Are there any other inquiries? Any other business? Motion to adjourn? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Bonne journée.